It's 10 away from 7. Good to have you with us here on ENCA. Coalitions falling apart in metros around the country. The mayor merry-go-round also continuing. Is there any hope of them really working at a provincial? Never mind discussing it at a national level, which we actually will do in a couple of moments. First of all, let's find out what's going wrong and how they could possibly be fixed. Joined by governance expert Dr. Harlan Cloete this morning. Dr. Cloete, good morning. I appreciate your time. Why are we getting this so horribly wrong at a local level when it comes to coalitions? Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and good morning to all the viewers as well. You know, we almost have what one author once called a predictable surprise. If coalitions are difficult by their very nature, you know, if you have a group of diverse people from diverse ideological positions coming together to form a coalition, then it is always difficult and problematic. But, you know, if they are built on principles and on a sound program of action that is there to serve the electorate and to address the issues of poverty and inequality and unemployment, then I think they have a better chance of success. Unfortunately, what we've seen in the last year or so is that the smaller parties, you know, it's like the tail wagging the dog, that the smaller parties, with respect, their position, they start negotiating from a position of what it is that I can get and not at what is it that I can give. And so the electorate are collectively despondent at what they are seeing at the local government level, because as far removed from service delivery, there's a social distance between what politicians think should be done and how the electorate experience this.
We need to talk about the mechanisms of a coalition government as well. Wonderful article on Business Day that spoke a lot about the introduction of an electoral threshold. We know that's been done in other parts of the world as well, almost a minimum requirement, if you will, Doctor. Another one was coalition agreements. Helen Ziller from the DA spoke about that when we had her here a few months ago. And then I thought this was interesting, a coalition ombudsman. Is that perhaps a way to try and control how badly these are being handled?
I think our system calls for more transparency and openness. As is, the public are not privy to what is it that parties negotiate to. What does this coalition agreements look like, you know? And so just a greater form of transparency will already help, you know? How do we start addressing the issues that I've just mentioned here? So transparency, yes. Another mechanism that has been mooted is that, and that is what happened in KZN, is the collective executive system is more suitable for coalition governance. It's consensus seeking, where parties are proportionally represented in the executive and not this one winner takes all, you know, so that what you have is that either one of the two bigger losers will start looking for smaller parties to form a government to keep the other one out. And then you have the mayoral committee system. So the collective executive system certainly is also it is there. I think that is what has happened now in Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, where the system of governance has been changed from a mayoral committee system to that of a collective executive system to promote greater transparency and to facilitate consensus-seeking politics.
Do you think these are lessons that we're running out of time to learn ahead of national elections next year? Because I'm very worried, and I'm not sure how many people share my concerns, that if this is how local government is reacting to coalition governments, heaven help us when we get to national elections.
Look, it is early days. A friend of mine in the Netherlands, he tells me with their coalition governance has been established. It takes them about 7 to 8 months to reach agreement and to form a government. You know, so coalitions by their very nature, it's consensus seeking, it's give and take. It's not, you know, so by their very nature that it takes time. And so it is really early days for us. And so we are a very young democracy, very vibrant democracy. And hopefully we will learn the lessons. The thing with learning lessons is that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes. And hopefully we will learn these lessons, and going forward, we will refine them and retune them and reform them as we begin to find a way. But coalitions by their very nature is not easy. Like I just said, it takes about 7 to 8 months in the Netherlands to form a government where these parties negotiate and then get consensus on a program of action. We have not seen a program of action from this coalition governments that's serving the interests of the poor specifically.
And I suppose the issue there is it comes down to the governance of it, but also then voters and regular citizens of South Africa sit back and wait while we try and figure out how these coalition governments work. On governments, on party governance, Doctor, I just want to get your thoughts as I say goodbye to you on this call of a state of disaster from the ANC president, Cyril Ramaphosa, as well, because if there was a coalition government next year, what they decide now as the ANC on Eskom and a state of disaster could come into play. But on the state of disaster for the Eskom issues, what did you make of that? Good idea, bad idea? Is it even possible?
I think at this stage, we will grab at anything to get us out of this mess, because load shedding, rolling blackouts has been such a disastrous consequence on small businesses. So if a state of disaster gives the president or government more power to deal with this thing expediently, then we should be doing that, So at this stage, South Africans are so traumatized by the last 3 years. We first had COVID and now through the rolling blackouts, So at this stage, I think, let's see if this then works to get us out of this mess.
You don't perhaps think it's just politicking, good timing ahead of next year, just being playing devil's advocate?
I mean, I'm a national optimist, and so I hope that, it's really a genuine attempt to get the economy growing and for South Africans to just get out of this collective despair that we find ourselves in.
Collective despair. I like the way you've used that, collective despair. Dr. Harlan Cloete, always a pleasure having you on the show. I thank you for your time this morning.